What if I told you that some of your habits might be weird, repetitive, and caused by narcissistic abuse? Today, we're going to take a closer look at those little things you do without thinking. Here are the 10 weird, repetitive habits of narcissistic abuse victims. Compulsively laughing when nervous. You're talking about something painful, maybe even your abuse, and suddenly you laugh, you joke, or you smile like you're okay when you're clearly not. It's a learned defense mechanism. When showing pain led to rejection, ridicule, or manipulation, your brain found a safer way: humor. You learned that being too emotional wasn't safe, so you buried your pain in punchlines. But laughing at your wounds doesn't make them go away. It just hides them longer. You deserve spaces where your pain can be held, not laughed off. Healing begins where honesty replaces the mask. What truth are you covering with a smile that deserves to be spoken with a straight face? Let's talk about number 2, avoiding eye contact. When you try to express your needs or emotions, do you look away? Do you find yourself staring at the floor or out the window instead of holding someone's gaze? That's not shyness, that's trauma. You were likely made to feel like speaking up or being honest was a threat. Eye contact felt too exposed and risky. Narcissists often weaponize vulnerability. They twist it into weakness or use it to mock you later. So now, your body protects itself by avoiding the gaze that once punished you. It's automatic. Your eyes look away before your brain can even think about it. Let's move on to number 3, checking and rechecking messages. Before sending, you type out a message, then delete it, reword it, and add a few softening emojis. You read it over and over until it sounds safe enough, and sometimes you just never send it. That's not just overthinking, but a trauma response. When you've been around someone who twists your words, lashes out, or accuses you of things you never meant, your brain starts playing defense. You try to prevent a reaction by controlling every syllable, but communication becomes exhausting when you're constantly censoring yourself. Instead of connecting with people, you're tiptoeing. Your nervous system isn't trying to be dramatic. It's trying to protect you from what it remembers. But in doing so, it might be keeping you silent when you need to speak. What would you say to your abuser if you knew you wouldn't be punished for speaking your truth? Now, let's continue to number 4, over-apologizing for everything. You say sorry when someone bumps into you. You apologize for asking a question, or taking up space, or just existing a little too loudly. At some point, saying sorry became your way of avoiding conflict. When you were with the narcissist, even neutral things could spark their rage or cold silence. So you learned to say sorry before anything could go wrong. Dr. Ramani Durvasula, a clinical psychologist who specializes in narcissistic abuse, said, "Narcissists train people to apologize for simply having needs." Let that sink in. You weren't allowed to have needs, so now you try to shrink yourself to keep others happy. But over-apologizing isn't humility. It's fear wrapped in politeness. You shouldn't miss number 5, compulsively cleaning or organizing. Do you catch yourself scrubbing a clean counter, or do you keep rearranging things that already look perfect? Deep down, you know this isn't about neatness, but about control. When you lived in a chaotic or critical environment, controlling your space became a way to feel less helpless. It was something you could manage when everything else felt unmanageable. Narcissists often used mess as a way to shame or belittle. So now, your brain says, if I keep everything spotless, no one will criticize me. But perfectionism isn't peace, but fear in disguise. And sometimes it becomes a compulsion that keeps you busy enough to avoid feeling. That spotless sink might be clean, but is your heart still carrying the dirt they left behind? Are you still up for number 6? Fidgeting or overexplaining in calm situations. Suppose you're in a totally safe place, maybe with a friend, or just relaxing at home, and yet your leg is bouncing, your fingers are tapping, and your mouth won't stop explaining something simple. When you lived under the thumb of a narcissist, calm didn't always mean safe. In fact, calm could mean a storm was brewing. Your body learned to stay alert, even when nothing seemed wrong. Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, in his book The Body Keeps the Score, says, the body responds to trauma not with memory, but with patterns of defense. That means you could be far from the narcissist, but your body's still reacting as if you're right there. So you explain everything, trying to stay ahead of accusations that aren't even coming. Your nervous system is wired for survival, not peace. But that wiring can change. You don't have to live in a constant state of bracing. Let's keep it moving to number 7. Repeating negative self-talk out loud. You're walking around, maybe doing dishes or folding laundry, and out slips a mutter, "I'm so stupid," or "Why do I always mess everything up?" You probably don't even realize you're doing it half the time. But that voice in your head is often not yours. It sounds like you owe, but it started with the narcissist. Their constant criticism seeped into your brain so deeply that it became part of your inner dialogue. Dr. Kristen Neff, a pioneer in self-compassion research, once said, "The way we talk to ourselves becomes the foundation of how we see ourselves. And when someone else planted the seed of self-hate in you, it grows unless you learn to pull it out by the roots. This kind of negative self-talk becomes a broken record, playing over and over, reinforcing low self-worth. It's a habit formed in survival mode, but now it's keeping you from healing. You deserve a voice inside your head that's kind, not cruel. If your inner voice belonged to someone else, would you let them speak bad things to you? Here comes number 8. Feeling panic when the phone rings. Your phone buzzes and your stomach drops. Even if it's just a friend or a family member, your whole body tenses up. It seems irrational, but it's not. When you lived under narcissistic control, the phone became a tool of manipulation. A simple text could turn into guilt. A missed call could spark rage. Your body remembers that. So now, even normal notifications feel like warnings. It's not about the phone, but about what the phone used to mean. However, just because it used to carry danger doesn't mean it always will. This reaction is valid, but it can be unlearned. Moving on to number 9. Disassociating. During pleasant moments, you're laughing with friends, but your mind drifts away. And suddenly, you just seem absent-minded. You're safe, or even happy. But emotionally, you're not really there. That's dissociation. Back then, The good times never lasted. The warmth would suddenly freeze into a storm of blame or manipulation. Dr. Janina Fisher refers to this as the trauma of being loved inconsistently. When love is mixed with pain, your brain stops trusting the good stuff. So now, when things are actually good, part of you leaves. It's not that you don't want to feel joy. It's just that your body is still waiting for it to be snatched away. Are you ready to believe that not all good moments are warnings in disguise? Finally, we're down to number 10, hiding or downplaying achievements. You accomplish something, and the first thing you do is downplay it. It's not a big deal, you say. Or maybe you don't tell anyone at all. Narcissists often respond to your wins with jealousy, mockery, or coldness. Instead of celebrating you, they made your success feel like a threat to them. So now, your brain thinks success equals danger. To stay safe, you shrink. You downplay your achievements because you fear the emotional consequences. But here's the truth. You're allowed to shine. Your wins are not selfish. They're evidence of your growth, and that should never feel like a crime. You might think these habits are just quirks, but they're your body's way of protecting you from things that once felt dangerous. The good news is, you're not stuck. You can unlearn what was once necessary for survival. You've already made it through the hardest part. Now it's time to start giving yourself the safety and kindness you never got back then. The real question is, what are the ways you can do daily to break your unhealthy habits and replace them with good ones?